Hey everyone, Bryan Barletta here from Sounds Profitable. I am so excited to bring you through another product deep dive. And today I'm here to introduce you to Isabelle from Triton Digital. Isabelle is the advertising strategy manager responsible for Triton's advertising platform. And we have a brand new update that we're going to walk you through today. So Isabelle, welcome to the product deep dive.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And hello, everybody.
Well, Isabelle, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what we're going to walk through today?
Today we're going to be covering TAP. I don't really need to talk about myself much. People in Canada know me. But we're going to be going through our brand new interface of TAP, which is Triton Advertising Platform, and which actually is for all audio publishers doing direct IO, so direct buys rather than just programmatic. We also offer the programmatic platform, but that would be for another topic.
Yeah, we can definitely revisit that later. And what's really cool is that the Sounds Profitable podcast right now is hosted on Omni Studio, and our ad serving is handled through TAP. So I've had a chance to play with this hands-on, and I'm really excited to see it. So do we want to dive into the platform?
For sure. So let's check it out.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing right here basically is really, the homepage, the landing page when you're here. And that kind of helps you as an ad operation person or somebody managing the campaign to have a quick overview of flights demanding your immediate attention, such as it's missing creative or it stopped delivering early, which you do not want to happen.
Definitely not.
Yeah, exactly. So it won't tell you why it stopped delivering early, but at least, like here, I don't have any, but at least, you can get through it. And usually that would be your first place in the morning when you log in, you'll land here and you'll see all this information.
And I love that because that's really important, right? The missing creative, stop delivery early. These are the type of things when I was doing ad ops, when exactly that. I wake up in the morning, I grab my cup of coffee, I sit down to see what's on fire, what's working great, and where I need to spend the rest of my day and who on the team I need to work with. And the fact that this lays all of that out there is really powerful.
Yeah, it's pretty great. So here you'll see your missing creative, but you're talking what's on fire. You would need to go to your flights. So the flights are really the elements of your campaign. So dictated by time range and impression goal or rate, targeting or whatnot. And when you're at the flight section, that table right here, you see right away all the flights. I am not doing good. I am not doing good at monitoring my flights. They're all in red. So the OTI is really the on-track indicator. And basically telling me, is my flight where it's supposed to be in terms of delivered impression as of today? So today, let's say it's at 23%. Tomorrow, because I optimize, it might jump up to 95%, right? So it's really today based on my impression goal, the time frame of my flight. Is it where it's supposed to be? Obviously here, there's nothing much I can do to optimize. They're all done.
Yeah.
Unless I was able to talk to my advertiser and say, hey, can we extend it? Then I would use the bulk editing function to extend my flight just by going my dates and changing my end dates, or maybe adding a position, right? Like those flights right here. And again, it's extremely visual.
Yeah.
I see those flights are mid-roll, right? So I could say, advertiser is open to targeting pre and post-roll as well. So let me just add those. And that might give it a chance to actually fully deliver.
I really like that because the visual aspect is super important. For an ad ops person, the goal of a good platform is to reduce the number of clicks and to give people the maximum visibility. I think a lot of the success in ad tech products are what is the quickest way to let everybody know what's going on without them having to dig into each individual thing and be able to show it at a bubbled up level to say, this is where I need to focus. And I love that. The position thing I was actually going to call out, that visual cue. Immediately I understood that those were all mid rolls on there and that it meant that there definitely weren't any pre or post. And it gave me the understanding that I could add those. So great job there. I love the campaign trafficker. So if there are multiple people on your team, you're going to be able to see that. All of this detail here really makes it easy for someone to ingest all of this, sort it by what's important to them, and allow them to take action quickly, because not only can you dig into each one individually, but you just showed us you can bulk edit, which honestly, most of the time when you're solving problems, you're not solving it for just one, you're solving it for multiple things.
Exactly. And going into each one, as you said, you want to minimize the clicks. One last thing as well on all sections that's available, but that's flights. I truly believe ad ops, that's where they're going to be spending most of their time, because that's the heart of their campaign. Is I can actually customize the table for what's important to me, right? And say, well, start date, I don't care, maybe. The type, so is it a direct sold or a programmatic guarantee? I can move it around so I can really see, the most important information for me. Because as you can see, otherwise I need to scroll to really see. And to see, this thing is important to me, right? I can move it up.
That's a feature that every individual user logging in could set their own view of a dashboard?
Correct.
So I agree with you that flights are kind of the center of a lot of this, right? When we think about it, the campaign is the container. It says, what are the expectations of the overall sale? The flight is the execution. All the individual targeting is handled there. It's all, adhering up or aggregating up into the campaign. The creative is a component of a flight. And so flight at the middle with ad ops, I agree that that's the center area. So this is a really robust area. I do like that you pointed out that there's different types, right? That you can see that this is for direct or programmatic. So there's all different statusing. There's all different identifications here so that you can know what to dig into or who on what team to talk to, depending on how big your company is. So you're making sure that you're getting things resolved as quick as possible, or you understand, hey, maybe the reason why this isn't delivering as expected might be because of the type of flight, the type of campaign, and not just the fact that it falls into, not hitting the OTI.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, again, I think we have all the visuals here to give you, especially if you know your inventory, to understand. Like we talked about position. I've had the case last week where they were saying my post roll is not delivering. A quick check on Omni, and that program never reached the end. People were dropping off, never went to the end. Post roll is extremely hard to sell, right? Because rarely a listener will say, ooh, I finished sharing my content. Let me hear that ad.
I'm going to say all the way to that end.
But it is there, but obviously a post roll will not garner as much as a mid roll or a pre roll.
Yeah.
So seeing this quickly, if you know your network, which I strongly always recommend to ad operation, know your network, that helps you optimize it. But that would have been a cue for that person that, that's a reason.
Yeah. So we have the central dashboard, we have the campaign and the flight area. And so this is all great here. What are you most excited about in this? It looks like there's all the user permissions here and the teams, which is really important. This really is an enterprise tool. It's always been an enterprise tool. And so that means multiple people are digging in here. For me, this setup's already hitting a lot of the features that I'm looking for. I want to understand how to create, though, that campaign, that creative, that flight, and also reporting. So where can we go from here?
I would say, honestly, just a lot of things. I'm excited about a lot of things, but let's start with, when you're building a flight, obviously it's linked to a campaign, which is linked to an advertiser, right? And what's really important for both the publisher and the advertiser is being properly separated from potential competitors, right? So like Pepsi does not want to be heard right behind Coca-Cola. So that industry separation. So what we've done with a new tab, we're actually are giving the publisher the control on what rules they want to apply. But for those who really do not want to play around with the rules or whatnot, we do have system default. And the system default is really one ad of the same industry is allowed per ad break. So if Coca-Cola played your first mid-roll, ad, Pepsi automatically will not be eligible for this ad break, right?
But Pepsi
However,
would be eligible for the pre-roll or the mid-roll in that example.
correct. Or would be eligible if you have like a podcast long enough to have multiple mid-roll breaks, it could be eligible for the next mid-roll break, right? And whomever goes first automatically blocks anybody else from that same.
But now would they block themselves too? Like, let's say that.
Yes.
Awesome.
They would.
Now block themselves in that break or for the whole episode?
For the break.
Okay.
Only for the break. So it's really preventing back-to-back, right, ads. However, again, we're giving the publisher the control to do what they want, right? So they can even, here we're at settings, which is available at the top right here under the ad separation.
Yeah.
And like for me, I decided I'm going to keep Triton's default for all industries, but I'm going to override it for 2 types of industry that are big spenders on my network, insurance and retail. So for them, I'm actually saying, well, for insurance, a 2 ad separation is enough. So obviously 2 ad separation does entail that your mid-roll breaks can contain more than 3 ads, right? Otherwise it's kind of like useless. And for shopping, well, 1 ad is enough. So this way, I'm actually opening up more inventory, some more revenue opportunities, because I know they spend a lot. I've got a lot of advertising here. So I could do that. Or I could also decide to keep this and say for, let's say that Coca-Cola, a 2 ad separation within the same break. So only 1 beverage per break. However, Coca-Cola would be able to play twice in that same break.
Now, if I didn't want them to play more than once in an episode, a whole episode, how would I handle that?
That would be at the flight levels. That would be the frequency capping, right? So let's go into a flight.
Gotcha. So this part here is on the category and the advertiser and the rules that you apply universally. So you can say there might be some situations where I want to do sequential or that an advertiser really would like to be in every single break. But when we get to the individual campaign and the flight, that's all handled on the per advertiser level. I can say only once per show.
At the flight level.
Awesome. Okay.
Well, that's cool. Very important. There's a difference between the advertiser ad separation at setting that will apply to all advertisers, or saying just for this one, this specific new advertiser, I'm allowing a 1 ad separation for this one. Everybody else is only 1 per break of that same industry. But You're getting a bit the idea, right?
I absolutely am, and I like it because this is guardrails for your entire platform, for the advertiser, for the category, and that's very attractive, and it means that you as a company can decide what is the maximum we would ever allow under any circumstance, and then you can still set implied rules that I assume we're going to go over in flighting for what your frequency cap is as a standard of how you sell your inventory.
Exactly. And the beauty of this is really all types of publishers. So you've got those big publishers with big monetization teams that, have been doing this for ages. And then you've got the smaller publishers that often it's one person that does it all, right? So they don't have to worry. They can leave the industry separation defaults and still rest assured they're not going to anger their advertiser, right? So that's what I like about this is you, publisher, decide what's good for you, right? So now let's go and jump into frequency capping, as I said, which is different and will only apply to this flight.
Yeah.
Not the campaign, the flight, right?
Okay.
And for podcasts, you're able to say, well, for this flight, I don't want no more than 1 impression for download.
Now, can you have that adhere to the entire campaign? Because if I have a campaign and I create 5 flights and those flights all overlap, I could end up with 5 impressions in an episode based on this.
I would set it on all flights because it does not apply to the campaign. So let's say you've got 5 flights and only 1 has this, 1 per download. Well, the others are not. So they're just going to follow the industry separation, which if you've left it at default, will only allow them once per break, right? But not all flights. So your 5 flights would not all play in the same break. So it's really, you've got to have a good idea of what your inventory looks like, the ad depth that you have, how many mid-rolls do you have, how many ads per mid-rolls do you have, et cetera, et cetera.
But if I set all 5 flights, all 5 of these flights to be 1 per download, all 5 could still serve in 1 download.
Exactly.
Okay.
If you had, let's say, 5 mid-roll breaks.
Individual
Otherwise, the
breaks.
industry separation would, if you only have one, well, the only difference, if you have like 5 mid-roll breaks, exactly the same targeting, why I don't understand why you would, but let's say you did, and only one has that 1 per download, well, the other one could run in that same download. But if you only have 1 mid-roll break, one only will run.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's the real point here. Flights are not supposed to be overlapping. The campaign is overlapping to a degree. The flights should be unique. They should be targeting different things in different executions so that you can see which one works. So this gives you very robust frequency capping at a time where people are starting to ask more questions about it. I personally don't believe we have much of an issue with it in this industry, and these tools allow you to determine it for your whole platform as well as per flight into a campaign. And again, flights are supposed to be unique and different and shouldn't really overlap.
Exactly. And actually, frequency capping, what I've often tell the publisher is, based on my experience when I was on that side of the business, is often dictated by the advertiser, right?
Yes.
To prevent listener fatigue, saying, well, I don't want him to just hear me too often. And honestly, with the industry separation in place, I would, as a publisher, try to convince my advertiser not to use and prove to him that listeners will not get fatigued, right? Because obviously, when you're putting frequency capping, you're putting more constraint on the available inventory, hence on your revenue, right? Which you do not want to do.
I do think the thing to echo there is that a strong creative rotation really makes the difference and sells that there. I think you can get away with quite a few ads from the same advertiser in the same show if that's what the advertiser and the publisher want. But creative variance is really what helps sell that.
And that's actually a very good point. So going back to that 5 flight example and overlapping, actually maybe what was needed was just 5 different audio files rotating within that same flight, right? So equal weighted rotation, or, a 75% whatnot. And that frequency capping does not apply to the creative, but to your flights, right? So if creative A already played, well, in that download, well, none of the others will be allowed to play in that download, right? So that's actually a very good point that you're making.
And let's walk through the flight setup here. So we have all the details, the standard things like the name and the associated campaign. And then it looks like you can determine whether or not this is direct sold, which we're covering here, or programmatic, which I believe is part of what you guys call yield op, which I'm excited to explore that in the future.
Actually, this is different. Programmatic guaranteed is it's still part of the direct IO sphere. Right? It's still a direct deal between a publisher and an advertiser. The advertiser must have a seat in the ad exchange, in Triton Ad Exchange. He'll be creating, or the publisher will be creating a deal. What really programmatic guarantee does is a more automated way, let's say, to manage the creative, right? Rather than the advertiser sending each week brand new creative to upload, and ad ops each week having to spend that time, while advertiser manages all that on their end, right? It also is good, let's say, if you strike a deal with an advertiser for the year and saying, well, I'm buying you X amount of impression for the year. However, I don't know when I'll play those impressions, right? So you're going to be setting one flight covering the entire year, and it's going to come in direct competition with your other type of direct flights, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be setting your programmatic guaranteed as a standard, let's say, standard high because it has high priority. You will have a rate to it as well. The difference is you're linking it to a PG deal in LDOP rather than uploading creative. So programmatic guaranteed is kind of a mix between the direct IO, but using all the programmatic leverage.
Now, is that handled from the advertiser's side in their DSP or in Triton directly?
In their DSP.
Very cool. Okay, so that's really exciting. Basically, you're giving out that cut guaranteed bit of inventory, and you're passing over the creative execution and the tracking and all of those other features to them for that specific type of deal. That's great.
It really is.
Yeah.
It was long awaited by our publishers, but that's really cool. We're really proud of this. Something else we offer also at Triton for audio, it's I know not everybody does that, is a different type of pricing model like impression, which is mainly I would say the currency in digital advertising. However, we have a lot of in-stream broadcaster, right? And more traditional radio where they have teams or very local local advertiser that still buys by spot. So a one to all, right? So at Triton, we offer that as well. So you could sell by spots. So rather than selling 5,000 impression, you're going to be selling maybe 50 spots, right? And what this does is if you actually have a station with a very small audience, it actually increases your eCPM.
Would you say that if I was a publisher evaluating in podcasting how to use more tools, dynamic ad insertion and whatnot, to replicate baked in, right? The idea that I'm going to sell Tuesday's episode for the next 90 days. The pre-roll is going to 100% share of voice for the entire 90-day period. Go to this one advertiser. Would I use spots for the pricing model in the setup here?
No, I would actually use
sponsorship.
If they're the sole owner of the space, I would use a sponsorship.
That's fantastic.
So right now, sponsorship does not really guarantee exclusivity. It guarantees that when the ad request comes in, if you have a sponsorship, it will not try to find any other eligible ad. It will stop there, right? What could happen, and if I stress on the exclusivity, is sometimes there's creative timeout or whatnot. So if it's not answering the ad request, then it might go to something else. But that rarely happens, but it's important to know. But I would use sponsorship. Here, I mean, the pacing, I would not even touch it because basically you're owning the space. I would put a no goal, extremely important, because if you put a goal, it will stop once it reaches daily goal.
Yep.
And then I put all the targeting I need here. So, specifying the days it needs to run.
That's great.
Or better yet, targeting the specific episode ID you want to target, right? So really targeting, you can have a lot of fun. And I always tell the publisher that's the occasion for you to actually sell these as premium placement.
100%.
Right? Because you're going extremely niched, extremely to this specific listener, and that's worth money.
I agree. And it's one of my big pushes is for everybody to start using dynamic ad insertion, even if you want to sell 100% share of voice sponsorship, because the tools that are built in podcasting are very analytical for download and are kind of limited on what you can give to an advertiser. Some platforms out there don't even have robust APIs to pull the reporting. You're given very limited data because that download is really the gateway to the impression. So by doing this sponsorship and you have all these targeting rules, you have all these reporting opportunities here, you really open yourself up. You also get away from things like prefix URLs, which I think is probably something the industry needs to move away from. And you're only providing third-party data to the partners when the ad is in the download. So that's great. For targeting, we dug in there for a second. So we have the content targeting, the listener targeting, and then the time. So content is about my media.
Correct. So content, exactly. It's your media. So you can go standalone, right? So just pick and choose the podcast you want to run, or on the opposite, you want to run across your network, excluding a couple of podcasts, you can do that. It's sometimes genre, right? If you've provided us at Triton the genre, then you would be able to say, well, I don't know, it's true crime. I don't have it here. But I say, I want to target all podcasts under true crime. And what's the fun part of targeting by genre or even by market, sometimes people are regrouping them by market, is that anytime you're adding something new to that genre or to that market, automatically the flight will pick it up. You don't have to remember to go back to your flights and manually add this new content, right? Automatically it will be pick up and start delivering. You have podcast specific targeting. I mean, we've talked about episode ID, but you can also have publish date or publish age, which I think is great for selling your back catalog. So now
Absolutely.
You can also start carving a sensible rate card saying, well, my fresher content is higher CPM, but you can still monetize your back catalog with this. Right?
Well, that's really appealing, right? Because if I say all of the episodes in the next 90 days, I could do publish date, or you do publish age, right? For the back catalog, that's fantastic. You could set rules here to determine how to identify what is current, what is back catalog, and what is full catalog, and be able to have those rules. Now, can I save those rules as like an admin or a manager and have them as quick selectable for the people on my team?
Not yet. Targeting presets, as we say, or templates are not yet available. However, again, we've got great workarounds. So like when I want to create my flights, I can create multiple, but I can also easily copy.
Duplicate. Yeah.
So I've got this
fantastic.
flight. I knew that's the one, and I can just copy with or without creative, right? So let's say this one doesn't have creative anyhow. I don't care about the creative. It's really the settings that I want. Then I would simply copy. It will name it, copy again. But all my targeting would be applied. Here in this one,
I love that. I think that that's so smart. I think that sometimes those databases where you collect and you identify all of the presets that you'd like are useful. And, this just released this new update. So those are very clear things that are coming. But that preset's really powerful. We're coming into the holiday season. Picture next holiday season. You've figured out what worked perfectly, and you're getting ready for Q4 2023, and you're sitting there going, I had a campaign similar to this. Oh, and you go back, you review the results. You're right. It was perfect. You hit clone without the creative, and there you go. You have the same type of setup. You have the ability to move off of that. You have the ability to take a campaign, and in my opinion, the biggest part of a campaign, the biggest success is always, this campaign was successful. Here's how we want to improve. Let's do another campaign. So you copy that as your start point. You remove the things that didn't work. You expand on the things that did work. You split out flights. You do more like that. This is a great way to take whatever you have and not have to manually recreate it. So kudos there on all of these, bells and whistles. You can really get granular with this. And I think that's going to be really important as people, and especially for a tool like this, meant to manage a network or multiple networks. If you're a single publisher, some of these tools are going to be like really trying to like split a pea. But with the expectation that you're working with handfuls of publishers, multiple networks sometimes in these scenarios, this lets you really do the type of stuff that drives results per advertiser or learn your inventory more than a lot of other platforms will.
I definitely agree. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you're that very big and savvy in terms of advertising publisher. You can go as granular as you want. You can copy your campaign with flights. You can go fetch your creative, or you're the smaller that's really basic. Well, you can also copy that very basic. You don't have to recreate. You don't have to click again, right? You just copy whatever you need to copy. And what I really like also is that being able to create multiple flights. So this campaign, let's say, is to run a year, but each month I've got to guarantee a number of impressions. So just what's going to be changing is the date. I'm just saying, okay, well, copy it 12 times. And boom, then I just go and change my name, change my dates. And with the inline editing, it's perfect. and I can only do 10 at a time.
That's not a bad thing, though.
I saw you little smile.
But that's not a bad thing, because the truth of it is that you should probably not be creating for an entire year up front, right? Creating it in quarter or half a year is more than enough. I think creating more than 10, to me, on my side, has always been a way to get around limitations. So I don't mind those constraints on there. So, okay, so we did that. What we haven't touched is the user and teams and the creatives and the reporting. Now, we're in the flights, the subsection of creative. I'd love to see like how that works, because for me, there's always been a lot of pushback that there's not a lot of creative control on there. There's not the ability to do any sort of like weighting or round robin. And I don't think that that's true. I think there are a lot of really great innovations in creative. We have the targeting for the flight, but the subsection of the flight is like, okay, now which creative? So how do you guys handle that?
So there's different ways for creative once you have your flight saved. So you can either copy from another flight. So that's really, as simple as a click. If your advertiser provided you with a vast URL, you cut and paste your vast. But if it's a more frequent type of, I've got an audio, I've got to upload it. With Frequency Creative Manager, you've got the options of doing not only the multiple, but the rotation, where you can really have fun with it, right? You've got creative. Do I have any here? You've got your creative library here. Adding a bit more, so just we can see the rotation.
Yeah.
So by default, as you see, it's going to be an equally weighted rotation, but I can play around with that. I can say, well, my 30-second must be running 75%, whereas the 25 and 29 will share the remaining 25%. As long as the total is always 100, it's perfect. For in-stream publisher, you also have the sequential that you can use, but podcast is really, because the uniqueness on download is quite hard to get. Weighted is the best. What you can do as well is actually do creative targeting. So you had this podcast that is listened to across the states, and that's what your advertiser bought, right? He bought your entire audience, but suddenly he's coming back with creative saying, oh, well, I've got this promo for this state and that promo for that state and one for the rest of the United States. Well, you would be using like maybe state and region, right?
Yeah.
Where you would say Alaska, etc. And then you can really apply saying, well, 30 seconds goes to Alaska, 28 goes to Hawaii, and 29 goes to everybody else. So that's pretty powerful, because you don't have to go back, try to guesstimate the number of impressions for each state. It will just go there, because that's not what you promised. You didn't guarantee a number of impressions per state. You guaranteed a number of impressions across your audience.
And I think that that's a really important thing that I really want to highlight. We think about these creative optimization tools, and people are like, well, my inventory is not big enough. I don't want to segregate it out. I don't want to just target Florida and Washington and then leave all this unfilled inventory and maybe not have enough to bill. Think about it a different way. They're still buying everything, but you give them the opportunity to have something unique in different areas, right? You have the equal rotation. There's a lot of cool things you can do here, and that targeting is really powerful within a flight. So I think that that's really important there to highlight, right? Like these tools, it doesn't really matter your size. It depends on how you sell it. And so make sure if you're smaller to sell it that this is targeting everything, but you can make differences. And if you're bigger, you can do the same thing, but you also can carve up your inventory uniquely by these different options.
Definitely. And for the bigger one, bigger publisher would totally get also the next feature and would probably get excited about it, is actually sequential scheduling. So you've got this flight that's a month long, and your advertiser is telling you up front, I'm going to swap my creative every week. And here it is, right? Creative set A for first week, etc. Well, with Frequency Creative Manager and Tap, you can totally do that. So when you're actually ready to publish, your set is going to ask you immediately or scheduled, right? So my first set immediately is really when my flight starts.
Yeah.
And then my schedule would be like next week. but it's already there. I don't have to set my alarm on Sunday midnight to go in and, try to swap my creative. It will automatically start, and the week one creative will automatically stop.
Or yeah,
So
I've been that person who has to wake up at Sunday midnight and have to change it, or worse, when to just avoid
I've
that.
been there.
Yeah, to avoid that, you create multiple flights and they're each different date ranges, or multiple campaigns depending on the system, creating workarounds that really end up causing other problems. So this is great. We actually are really lucky that we're going to have a deep dive with the frequency team in the near future too. So we'll be able to dig further into there. But that's awesome to see how good of a integration you have with them and how many cool features that adds to the already robust Triton platform.
Definitely. And one thing, talking about the integration with frequency, that we can certainly not overlook is we're getting all, in terms of reporting for your campaign, you can get pretty cool data when you're reporting, such as your listen through rate, quartile events, right? So all of that will be there. We have a deep link into frequency because all the creative lives in the frequency data mart. But just by going into the campaign and pulling a frequency creative delivery report, and if that flight had 10 creative, I'm really able to see which creative delivered how many impressions, what was the listen through rate of all creative. So that's pretty powerful for advertiser to understand which creative had more impact.
Yeah. And the thing I really like about Triton is that Triton is an audio platform. So we talk about streaming, we talk about the radio aspect, we talk about the podcast aspect, right? They're all different and they have slightly different data. So while streaming isn't for podcasting, what's cool here, and I think we're going to see more people do it, is you run some of your campaign on for audio in all the different channels and you learn from each other. Your listen through rate in streaming can tell you something about podcasting. There's still data to apply there. You find that the creative is unappealing. It's too long. It's too loud. It has all these little differences that you might want to take into account. Audio as a whole category can learn from itself in different categories. And so being able to see all that data in one place for all of audio that you execute, your whole audio ecosystem, I think that's going to give people the insights to have a real edge as we end this year and move towards the next.
Yeah. And you talk about data, and we know how important data is for yield management, right? So again, here we got the listen through rate we really have, which I think is good for the advertiser, but all that insight on creative. However, with our reporting tools and forecasting tools, that also helps you do pretty good yield management. With Tap Explore, so it's an additional product in Tap, but it's part of Tap. You can start creating your reports. So ad ops would create maybe weekly OTI reports so they can keep track of their campaign, which one with low OTI, etc. But a manager might want to do a monthly sell-through rate report. So which would give him, let me just find my monthly sell-through rate. So here I have it for my network, and I broke it down per month, station and position. So that actually kind of opens up the discussion where I'm going to be talking to my sales team and saying, okay, what's going on with Swiss Media Demo? How come you're not able to sell it? What's missing? How can I help you sell it better, right? Or do I need to package it in that station tag, right? So with more sexy podcasts or station that I know sell well, I'm just going to slide this one in. It will deliver, right? And my sell-through rate might increase a bit. So extremely powerful tools in publishers, if they want to use it, to really, really start doing some yield management.
Yeah. And just like all your other reporting, you have a lot of variables. You can change the dimensions there. You can sort by different aspects. And honestly, I kind of like the name Missed Opportunity because to me, available inventory, I get it. But missed opportunity is really strong, right? It says to you, there was something you could have done with this. Like, let's add that up. Let's identify it. How much money did we leave on the table? And how do we learn how to do more with it. And you hit the nail on the head on your thoughts on how to expand on that. But this is the tool that helps the product marketing or the sales team really understand what their offering is, where it's missing, and how to do better with it.
Exactly. And to note as well, although we don't get extremely granular on the programmatic side, we still see that impression served via programmatic in Tap Explore. So my column here, pays, includes all of my direct, buys, and programmatic impressions right here. So my sell-through rate is really telling me, okay, the portrait or my box was this big. This is how much I sold. This is how much I sold in fill. I delivered in filler, right? I mean, there's a difference between a fill rate and a sell-through rate.
Yeah.
Right. So in Tap, you've got with Tap Explore, I mean, your impression with it's just your historical data and a bunch of different metrics. You can build your report, a bunch of different dimensions. You can filter it, you save it, you schedule it on the frequency you need. And with forecasting, well, you can do, again, pretty powerful. You can either do a forecast to really answer to that very specific RFP. So you're going to build your forecasting using all the params you would use to build your flight as filters. So saying, oh, in this area, in this position, on this podcast, etc. You would add the IAB category. Remember, the industry separation would only allow you one, right? So you need to add the IAB category. And then boom, you've got a guesstimate of what's available in the future to sell. So that's for the really campaign related. But again, a manager could see, oh, I just want to see next month per podcast position. What do I have left to sell?
Yeah.
Right?
Can I hold that inventory?
You can save the query. So meaning all of this you can save. So if it's a query you have to pull often, like ad ops often have to pull similar type of query, you just reuse it, right? I don't know if I have any save here.
Well, no worries on that. But if I wanted to, let's say that I sent that out for proposal in a 2-week period, we consider it held. And then after that, they sign or they give the intent and then it's booked and then it's live. Are there stages where we can move from this or in the campaign aspect where I can put a tentative hold on it so that future queries in this take into account what I just pitched?
Okay. So really, it's very, very good point. Very extremely important point. As you know, in digital advertising, first come, first serve.
Yes.
You didn't sign the contract? Well, too bad. And then you pull them to see if I still have that available, right? So a way to work around it, and that's what I used to do when I used to be ad ops, is as my sales rep were going for that sales pitch, especially when you know the advertiser, it's a 90% sure thing. I would actually book it and pause it, because a paused flight reserves the inventory.
Perfect.
So that's what I would do. And if contract, didn't come through, then I would just kind of like release by archiving this flight or whatever. But there's no other way. You cannot just like reserve inventory. But I strongly recommend, if it's almost a sure thing, create it, pause it, it will reserve it. And your colleague will see it as a contending flight and will not take or should not take this inventory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, these features tell us a lot already. They show us where your goal is. Your goal here with this platform is to enable everybody to sell all their inventory. And so you have all the tools here. I definitely see a future where this platform explores that like booked and held mindset so that, that pause functionality works great, but being able to create rules. How long can someone hold inventory before it has to be booked? How long can something be booked before it has to run so that it doesn't impact the other sellers? But all of these features are here. You have that information and it enables you as a larger company to do that. That pause mindset, honestly, really great hack there. And I really like that. And this is
and it's
great.
Very important that publisher also kind of own their inventory, right?
Yes.
Triton cannot be doing things for them. They've got to set their own business rule internally, as you mentioned. How
100%.
So Very, very powerful tool, the forecasting. Just so you know as well, so the total inventory that you're seeing here is all the activity we've seen in the past 28 days based on whatever filter you've put here. So for me, I've put it across my network. I didn't specify a specific station or podcast. And my total inventory is really the sum of those missed opportunities. So an ad request came in for some reason and fulfilled. That's a missed op. The impression delivered, whether it was from a standard programmatic or filler, a house ad. So that's my total inventory. That's the size of my box, the past 28 days. My available inventory is all of my contending flights, all here.
Oh, and you can see all of them right there. That's great. Because I was like, wow, these are some really big negatives. But I realized because we're in a demo account, there's only so much inventory, but we keep building demo campaigns, which are showing us just how overbooked we are.
Exactly. And based on the criteria set in your query and based on the criteria set in the flights, the inventory available or contending will not be the same. So we sum up all of the contending, subtract it from the total, and there we have it. So that's also by design. At first, I had publishers saying, oh, it's broken. It's saying negative.
No.
It's like, no, you've overbooked.
That's a great one. And when you say schedule, so it's scheduled to run on certain times, so will it also email me to let me know it's available?
No. You're not getting notification, no. So what you're seeing here is simply, all of your flights, the status. So if it would have been pause, I would see pause, meaning it is reserving. But anything other than active or pause would not show here. Your filler flights or your house ads will not show here, right? Because they don't have a goal. They're not contending. They don't have an impression to reach.
Yeah. I get the feeling that this is going to be a well-visited report and probably something that ends up in the dashboard at some point, because this is a great way to start off a week and go, oh, okay, we're overbooked. Let's figure that out.
Yeah, and we're continuously, again, improving, obviously based on feedbacks. I mean, we have workshops with our publishers, et cetera. But something that is coming and we're actually working on right now is seasonality.
That's huge.
As I said, right now, we're looking back 28 days, right? But 28 days, if it was a fairly slow period, but now I'm forecasting, let's say for December, where I say, I know my traffic will surge and just peak. Well, I might be leaving money on the table if I just go with that, right? So seasonality, definitely being able to say, oh, compare it with data of the same period last year.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that Triton, with all your associations, with all the partners that are part of the, the greater iHeart family, and all the data plays that you do, I mean, your entire podcast analytics tool, your buying tool that has all of that, and your partnerships with Signal Hill and everybody there, so many cool things you could do with that. That seasonality is so important. I might be a new network that's just knocked it out of the park for Q4, and I don't know if that's normal or not. And being able to see that in the future, being able to see benchmarks, if anybody's positioned to do that, I think it's really the Triton team. So these are all incredibly critical features that we need to operate and to grow podcasting. And you're providing them fast loading in a really robust interface that doesn't take a lot of clicks to get what you need.
Definitely. And if people don't know how to use it, then they usually book me. and I take time and show them how to do it.
Yeah.
But definitely, I mean, publishers have everything in hand to make the best decision. And again, we make sure we have the documentation, the training, everything to help them and guide them through it when they're new to that space.
I think that's fantastic. I think your documentation, I've had a chance to read through some of it myself, and it's really clear, and you've authored a lot of it. And knowing that you're also the person that's going to help people out if they have any questions is also incredibly reassuring, because I've enjoyed this deep dive, and I enjoy generally working with you as, someone hosting on Omni and working with TAP. Were there any other parts of the UI that you wanted to walk through?
Well, in the UI, no. I do want to mention that another improvement that we've made is having really robust APIs, right? So publishers that actually use an order management system, right? Anything they can book via Tap UI, they can do via the API.
Yeah.
So we've got Operative One, we've got Placement IO, a couple of others, Weddlesoft, etc., that are integrated with us. So that's really cool. The publisher just goes into one place and it pushes to their different, especially when they're doing display, TV sometimes as well, etc. Yes, so we're talking about API integrations, and we also integrate with data management platforms. So we have, like you're seeing right now here, is True Audience, pre-populated segments available to anybody who's actually subscribed to True Audience with us. And what's good, especially for podcasts, is the MPs are often still now, although they're improving, but often cookie-based.
Yep.
Right? Collecting data, cookie-based, and obviously for podcasts, listen on mobile a lot. That's kind of like extremely hard to do. True Audience is IP-based. It's US IP-based only, so that's a bit more interesting. But we're also connected, and we keep on growing the DMPs with whom we've integrated. So Adobe, Newstar, Primitive, Salesforce. So if the publisher has a DMP and is not finding them in the list, reach out to Triton. We put them on the list, and we continuously add other DMPs. So pretty powerful as well, as it allows you to really go find that listener that's actually a customer or a potential customer to the advertiser. Again,
yeah,
that's where
I think that's really great too, because I think we're starting to see the rise in first party data, and there was Adobe on there as an example, and so you can bring your data through that. I'm sure you're going to explore other direct partners. You basically just said, if there's a partner you want to work with, please elevate it if you're a publisher on this platform. I think that's the future of a lot of this, and I agree with you. IP based is what we really need for podcasting, so to keep that in mind when you bring that data partner up there. But being able to hear from your hosting platform, your ad server, basically your primary partner for your own self-managed stuff, that they're willing to bring in data partners to you, is a home run. I mean, not every platform is willing to do that. Many of them will provide you with ones that are robust and are really wide, but that doesn't mean it's the one you want to work with. So this is, and I've always said it, Triton has a very powerful tool for kind of using it however you want. You want to use their UI, you want to use the APIs, you want to use their data, you want to use your data, you want to connect everything together individually, or you want to deal with some of the direct relationships they've already established. It's a tech-first platform in a world that is kind of focused more on the monetizing everything. It's a true SaaS product, and it's very, very powerful.
We're a tech first and publisher first platform. We're it's really important to us to listen to what people are saying and adjust, adapt, and try to deliver.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I'm so glad that you came here on this deep dive today. I really like the platform, and like I said, Sounds Proper was hosted on Omni. I've had a chance to check out all of this myself, and I really enjoy it. I think that this is a platform that people who are very serious about their business of audio, not just podcasting, should really check out. We dug into the direct aspect here. We dug into the focus of selling your own campaign, selling your own inventory, how you manage that, how you work through the reporting, saw robust forecasting, all of these great features, these tools that'll really allow you to determine what your unique product is. And I'm incredibly impressed by it. So, Isabelle, you had mentioned this before, and I think it's really important to highlight. You're the main point of contact if someone is trying this out, wants a demo for more information, or if they want to dig in and come on board, right?
Come on board, they'll have to go through our sales team. But once they're on board, if they want more information, definitely, I'm always available. I do session with our publishers on, strategy as well and monetization. So definitely.
Fantastic. And if people want to get a direct demo themselves or evaluate if this is the right solution for them, where should they go?
We're going to be starting webinars, actually. So we're going to be sharing this. But otherwise, I strongly recommend they go to tritondigital.com and they'll find there to go who they should reach out to.
Awesome.
Say, oh, we'd love to have a demo or whatnot.
That's so great. And I'm so excited. And if you found this valuable and you go to Triton, just tell them Sounds Profitable sent you. And I'm very excited for a future where the Triton team comes on to tell us all about their yield optimization product, which is all about how you get more revenue through programmatic. So Isabelle, thank you so much. And it was great to have you here.
Thank you, Bryan. Very happy to be here. And to everybody else, I hope we talk soon. Ciao.